and resurrecting the troop, Dr. Ben Sertima.
I would like to begin my lecture tonight by paying tribute to two of my elders, one alive and one dead, who by their speeches and their writings have done more than anyone in our generation to make us very much aware of the Africanness of the Egyptian heritage and of its relationship to us. And one of these men is in the audience today, Dr. Joseph Ben Yochanan. Would Dr. Ben please stand? The other is Sheikh Anta Diop. And it is with Diop that I shall begin, because Diop appeared, one of the few who was invited by UNESCO to help in rewriting the history of Africa. There was a conference in 1974 in Cairo on the peopling of Africa, and for the very first time, an international body invited Africans to say something about African history. Sheikh Anta Diop of Senegal and Théophile Obenga of the Congo. Diop presented a great number of arguments establishing the Africanness of the Egyptian civilization, but the most important contribution he made, and very significant contribution, was the linguistic contribution. Diop established clearly and beyond the shadow of a doubt, by showing thousands of intimate interconnections, familial interconnections between the languages of Africa and the Egyptian language, that it was structurally, fundamentally an African language, that it was not Afro-Semitic or Afro-Hamitic or Afro-Asiatic or Afro-anything, it was African. And one of the things that stands out in our memory is what UNESCO had to say at the end of that conference in their report, that although they had made it quite clear to all the delegates that they should come well prepared, well researched, because this was to be a turning point. Many things were to be decided after 2 centuries of debate. Only 2 gentlemen turned up, they said, with well-researched papers. And who were those gentlemen? The Africans, Théophile Obenga and Sheikh Anta Diop. There were at that conference many brilliant Europeans, some of them Africanists, not just Eurocentric Europeans, many of them in Diop's corner. But everybody came expecting to repeat themselves, because they thought that in spite of all the controversy, this was a decided and settled matter. I don't think ever again they will come unprepared when men like Diop, Obenga, and others whom you shall hear this weekend. I don't think that when these men appear, other people will come unprepared again, because we have been taken too long for granted. And for the first time, for the first real time, we are not alone. We have built a school of thinking, and we have built scholars who are becoming more and more informed and responsible. No longer the idle, hollow boasts of the past. Now everything we say or most of what we say, most of us can establish this on hard, solid ground. And what we come here tonight to do, my intention here tonight, is not to seek to undermine the achievements and accomplishments of other people, but to show in very real sense, not only were we the creators of the Egyptian civilization, but that our equality in the world, the equality of the black peoples of the world, is not built on any biblical fantasy or any liberal sentiment. It is rooted in hard, concrete, historical reality. Diop was a particularly well-accomplished man. His first career was in physics. He had worked in the most advanced nuclear lab in Europe under Frederick Julio Curie. Diop gave up physics, or really he did not give it up, because he was to become director of the radiocarbon lab in Africa, the first radiocarbon lab in Africa. He didn't give it up, but he decided to use it, to use his scientific accomplishments in order to establish that Egypt was African. And when he presented his thesis, it was wrongly rejected. How absurd! How dare you say such a thing? The University of Paris rejected it. Do you know, the week after he died, the first people to write me from Europe to ask for a copy of the book that was in process, Great African Thinkers, the book I edited on Sheikh Anta Diop, who do you think wanted so desperately to get that book and to honor him and to buy his original manuscripts and to house them? The University of Paris, who had rejected him. Truly, as it is said in the Bible, the rejected one will become the cornerstone of the new foundation. Far more than the linguistic arguments were the other cultural elements. There was the peculiar form of totemism. The totems of the Africans south of Egypt were the totems of the Egyptians. The cultigens, the agricultural things that we find in the pre-dynastic and dynastic Egypt, comes out of the Sudanic agricultural complex. The bottle gourd, the Laganaria caesarearia. The gossypium, the special forms of cultivated cotton, Gossypium herbaceum. The oil palm fruit, the tamarind fruit, the watermelon, all of these things are African. If somebody else was coming in civilizing Egypt, where are their cultigens? And then people created a pyramid building race who came into Egypt and built pyramids. Then where are their pyramids? Where did they learn this extraordinary? You will hear something so astonishing about the pyramids. You will realize why it is that there has been so much dispute about Egypt. Because what the Egyptians did, few of us really know how remarkable it is. The Japanese found out recently. The Japanese went to Egypt to build a pyramid. The Japanese took all the conventional wisdom that we had about the Egyptians that had been passed on to us, how they had handmade tools. They were not in the high technology range that we are today, so they built the finest handmade tools to cut the stone that Egyptians cut. Couldn't cut it. They improved it, couldn't cut it. Then they took air jackhammers, high modern technology, to cut the stone. And then they came to the second stage. Now we've used high technology, modern technology to cut the stone, because nothing that we thought could cut on to the Syrians. Even I believed that. All of us believed that until Diop showed scientifically it is not true. These people had gone into highly advanced iron smelting in the Pyramid Age. They could not cut those things with bronze tools. So they used air jackhammers. So then they come to the next problem. They saw all of these pictures in every Egyptian